What a wonderful message that we just heard from our Rabbi. May he rest in peace. It's amazing how his teaching is still with us and is still so applicable to our lives. You know, the main message that he was trying to give to us in this parasha was he spoke about what happened when Jacob died, and his brothers were so afraid at this point that they were no longer covered by their father, and that Joseph hadn't really forgiven them, and now he was going to take it out on them, and who knows what would happen, which is why he said, they all said to him, "We're your slaves." And he spoke about the importance of us dealing with our past. It's so easy to not forgive ourselves, to never think that that we can, that, how can I say this? We may think sometimes that we've forgiven ourselves, but the next time something happens, we realize, and we're reminded of something that we did, we realize, oh no, I haven't really forgiven myself. And that's a process, I think. I think it takes time in our lives to, and God will always bring us back, allow us to go back to the same situations again and take a look at, did we really forgive ourselves? And that's an important aspect. And he spoke about how many psychological diseases there are that come from not dealing with our past and holding on to them, holding on to things that we really need to let go of and give to God. Miriam and you and I talk about that all the time. You're also on mute, Miriam.
Yeah, it's really a long process, and I see my own dear brother who hasn't forgiven himself, and sometimes what I find hard is when people say, let's say, oh, you're such a good person, oh, like about me, and I say, I'm not. But I just have to let that go. You could be forgiven, and people could say you're such a good person, and you don't have to keep saying, "Well, no, I'm not. I've done this, and and it becomes, it's just simpler than that. When God forgives, as the rabbi was saying, he says once he forgives, and it's total. It's not a half forgiveness. We as humans don't always accept that about it. We don't forgive ourselves wholly. It takes a long time.
Well, we also have to be realistic, even though when he created us, he said we are very good, but it doesn't mean, we can be good people who do bad things. Yeah, we could still do things that are wrong. And those are the things that we need to confess. That's what he said. If you do something wrong, I spoke to a Christian lady yesterday who really believes that now she's completely perfect because because God has forgiven her. Well, she thinks it's because Jesus has died for her sins and now the blood covers everything. So now she is perfect. But that's not what the Torah teaches us.
No.
Every one of these characters in the scriptures have all made mistakes. They've all done something wrong. And God, and what Rabbi was saying is, God doesn't judge us by our mistakes. He's looking for our heart. It's like Judah realized when Tamar confronted him, he saw what he did. When Nathan confronted King David about killing Uzziah, the husband of Bathsheba, who he had commit adultery, and he went and he said, "You are the man, you did that." David didn't deny it. He fell on his face, and he had to pay the consequences. Where they lost their first son, they lost their first child, but he was forgiven, and we see that because his son then became King Solomon, who built the temple. So there's a formula we need to look at it. If someone says you're doing something wrong, don't make excuses. Don't justify yourself. Look at it and say, and search our hearts. That's why Rabbi always says, search me, O God, know my heart. Try me, know my thoughts. See if there's any wicked way within me and lead me into your way everlasting. And when we do that, when we search our hearts, it's a humbling experience because we see how weak we are, that we do things that are wrong. And then we go to God, we change what we can, and the parts that we can't, we go to God. And it's important that we feel forgiven. And because I know that I've asked even my own children, I've asked them, forgive me for some of the things that I did. I didn't do it on purpose. And, you never try to hurt people on purpose unless you're really, truly evil. But, when you don't feel forgiven by them, it makes it very difficult to grow in that relationship. So that's why the communication is so important.
But there's a difference between feeling forgiven and not really being forgiven. Like sometimes I remember two people, one woman was forgiven and she said, I don't feel it. And I said, at what point? Remember, Rabbi was saying, at what point, if the person really forgave you, at what point, sometimes we don't accept it because we're not, it doesn't mean you weren't really forgiven. So, but it is important for our well-being to feel it. But sometimes there's something with us we have to look at, like, why won't you accept that? Maybe because we haven't really accepted their forgiveness.
Exactly. Mauricio, are you trying to make us jealous? Standing there with the palm tree behind you?
Yeah, I'm trying,
Are you at the beach?
I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, I can see it all right. I think I'll hop on a plane. Oh my goodness.
And here we have some mountains, so it's very nice. Um, for me, what is precious in this portion is about to maintain your word after death, because for a dead person you cannot pay. The person who is dead cannot pay you the favor. Okay, and in this portion we can see also in Haftarah in Torah that David and Jacob ask for a favor to their sons that they won't be able to see if they can pay it or not. Okay, if their son will do as they commanded, I would say. Okay, so it's important to honor your fathers after their death. So
yes, your lifestyle there in El Salvador you're very similar to Joseph. Even your Hebrew name is Yosef. How difficult it is because you're surrounded by a culture that is not yours. And that the spiritual head of the home is you. And that it's up to you to teach your sons and your daughter to fear the God of Israel when they're surrounded in every way by something that says no, that teaches the opposite. So you have a big challenge. And yeah.
So I have to leave because I promised to all people to go for lunch, and they have been waiting for me.
Okay. You go ahead, and I'm going to be in touch with you to find out what hotel I can come and stay in there, because I really want to be under palm trees. So you go, and thank you, Mauricio, for being with us today. God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Miriam, you're still on mute.
Right. Hi,
Yeah.
sorry. Didn't the brothers, when they were basically took Joseph and threw him in the pit and all this, didn't they come back with didn't they bloody his garment to show Yaakov?
Yes.
Jacob?
Yeah. Yeah, but they didn't tell the father what they had really done.
No, but my point is this. So they brought the bloody thing back to him.
Right.
So he, for all these years, believed his brother was slain by beasts. Or
His father believed his son, not his brother.
Oh, okay. Well, no, he believed that Joseph was torn apart by beasts.
Yes, that's his son, not his brothers. You said his brother.
I said his brother. Okay.
Yeah.
No, Joseph's father, Jacob.
Yeah, Joseph's father, Jacob, believed that Joseph, his son, was killed by, he was killed. Yeah.
So then later on, years later, when Joseph is alive, because remember, I always wondered, did Jacob know what his brothers had done? And we say we don't know, but it just hit me.
It's obvious he didn't know.
No, but let me just finish.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that they later on they said Joseph is alive. He's alive. Didn't he remember that they had lied by saying he was slain by beasts? It just hit me like he must have known something is not right. They came to him saying we found his bloodied clothes, but here he is and he's alive and he's in Egypt. So they had to wonder, well, what's going on here? I mean, we don't see what happens, but that was really, really strange.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was just thinking that there's so many things we don't know, and we don't know. Maybe there was a lot that happened that he forgave them for that, and we just don't know any of that.
Yeah, no, I guess he was so excited he forgot about it all. He probably thought about it. He probably remembered the dreams then. Remember, he kept Joseph's dream in mind.
Right.
When he was very young.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he.
I mean, it's not a question I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's not, to me, obviously, you can't forget that your son was torn apart by beasts, but he had to believe all these years, he didn't want to send Benjamin because his son had been torn apart by beasts. And then he hears Joseph in Egypt. And like, you have to say, well, what's going on here? So some way he knew that they did something is wrong.
Yeah, they must have, because if he kept in mind that his son, the dreams of his son were true, then some part of it, him might have known that maybe something was not so, and all of a sudden he was revived.
Yes. Yeah. Something. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of things it doesn't say, like you have to presume.
Right. But I mean, obviously, you don't forget that aspect that your son was torn apart. So something. Anyway, listen. But there was.
But it's the same as the presumption of Asenat, that she, didn't fight against Joseph, that she allowed him to have the spiritual leadership of the house, because we see the results with the sons.
Right.
And, a home where the husband and wife are divided in that, where one is, that's why
she was like a Ruth.
She was like a Ruth. Yeah. And that's the only way we can, when you get married, if you're not of one mind spiritually, it's very difficult on the kids. That's why, sometimes just because someone converts to Judaism, as I know girls who've converted to Judaism just so that they can marry this Jewish guy, but in their heart, they're still Christian or they're still Catholic or whatever they were before. And they never really, or they're nothing. So that really God is nothing to them. And it makes it very difficult raising your children with things. But then there's so many homes today where they both have nothing,
And sometimes even the conversion is just an outer thing for both of them. If the husband really wanted to have, his wife with him in the same belief system, then God would be the head of this, and then he would see you're not just converting and now you wear different clothes and you do different things. But just remind me just one thing, like in the liturgy, I mean, we read it every week, blah, blah, blah. And where at one point it says, a part of it says, God, then it says, who makes the Shabbat holy. And it just hit me in a different way. God who makes the Shabbat holy. And how often do we want to make it holy? And there's so many rules about what the order in which you do things, even lighting the candles, which is a beautiful tradition. But it's God who makes it holy.
And what does holy mean?
Means set apart for Him, and
exactly. He separated it from the rest of the days.
Yeah,
it's that simple. It's not so complicated. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden we have to put on our halo on Saturday and become this special holy creature, for one day of the week. It's like there's so many ideas that are just wrong, by religion. I was even thinking when I read the first verse here in the first portion in Vayetze, it says, this is Jacob said to Joseph, behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make you a multitude of people, and will give this land to your seed after you for an everlasting possession. I listened to a video that my daughter sent me this week, about an indigenous person in the United States who is speaking about the same problems that they have in the States, where they were the indigenous people of the land, and here all these foreigners came and took the land from them. So they're saying that it's the same thing with the Palestinians today, that the Israelis came in and took the land from there, that they're really the indigenous. But this land was given to us. It says very clearly the land was given to us in the Torah. So if you don't have the Torah, you can never know the truth about anything.
Yeah.
And the indigenous people, and what they don't understand also is that the Palestinian people are a created people. They were not there at this time. They were not part of Canaan. It was the Canaanites, the Amorites, the Hittites, the Hivites, who all were in part of that land. It never says the Palestinians. They just were never there. And it's funny because when I told that to my daughter, she said to me, "Don't say that to anybody. You're going to be in trouble."
But it's not only that. It's like it's not just which people was there first. It's not a contest who was there first.
No, that's true.
Like you say, it's the Torah that said, this is your land for your seed forever. But God didn't go and tell the Attila the Hun that this is your land forever. He didn't say to the native peoples that this is your land forever. Even though they have been abused, I don't take away that from them. Many native peoples have been abused, and that's a different story.
That's wrong. Exactly.
Which is terribly wrong. But God did not say, this is your land forever. The Torah gave specific. So that's the difference when people, because then we can go to England and say, who was there first? The Saxons, or who was there,
The Vikings were there. Yeah, exactly. You always have warring nations in this world who come and take over other lands. Yeah. I mean, where are we supposed to go back to now?
Yeah, it's not about who's there first. We're not playing tag, It's like
that's true. That's very true.
God gave the land to a specific group of people.
Yes, that's very true. Does anybody have anything? Isabel, do you have a comment about anything that you've heard today? No? Everybody's afraid to speak? Yeah. Etid, Alejandro, Rhonda, anybody?
Brian?
Baruch loves when we talk about the mother. The line of Judaism comes from the mother. Doesn't come from the mother, it comes from the father. And this proves it. This Torah portion proves it, Brian. You're absolutely right.
But it also doesn't mean, Brian, you're right, but there are cases where just the mother is Jewish and they consider the family Jewish, which doesn't mean that that's wrong. It's just, it doesn't mean that that's a principle. Anyway, because we were just talking about, because remember last week somebody's mother was Jewish and they considered the family Jewish, but not because it's rabbinic. Anyway, it's okay.
Right. But the bottom line of the message for today is we need to forgive ourselves for the things that we've done wrong in our lives. There's nobody who's perfect. It's impossible for humanity to be perfect. But because we have the Spirit of God within us, He allows us, it lightens our burden, our load in this world. And he lightens the path. And we're always to remember that. Search me, O God, like Rabbi would always say, search me, O God, know my heart, try me, test me, know my thoughts, see if there's any wicked way within me, and lead me into your way, the way of righteousness, the way of justice, the way of truth. And
Even
so
murder you forgive.
even he can forgive murder. It doesn't mean that we don't pay the consequences.
No, of course. But look at
Exactly,
King
because I mean, you still go to jail for the things you do wrong, but we can be forgiven.
Oh, King David.
Isn't that 139?
What did you say, Brian?
Isn't that 139? That
139 of Psalm. Yes, Psalm 139. Exactly. All right, so I'll say Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Just remember, next week, Mauricio will be leading the service. I won't be here, God willing. Can please pray for Tammy, for my daughter. She has COVID, and I was with her on Wednesday, so I'll know by Tuesday whether or not I have it. And because if I have it, then I'm not going to anywhere. I'm not going down to Boston, but I pray that I'll be okay. So Moshe couldn't be here today. He sent me a message saying that he was going to meet with some people from his school to go to take courses to teach at a higher level. And they had the meeting today. And that's it. Hi, Sadi. ¿Cómo estás?
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, my good. Pray for Yanet. Yanet, you can sing jazz now, Yanet.
Yes. I can sing like you in the
You sing low, and I'm going to sing.
It's your birthday tomorrow, Brian.
Brian.
Happy
birthday
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brian. Happy birthday to you. And what do you
Brian,
now?
isn't it the 1st? January 1st?
January the 1st, yeah. Well,
Tomorrow's not January 1st.
tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
Oh,
night.
yeah.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
He's the
Huh?
first. You're the
Tomorrow.
first one born on January the 1st.
You know,
So Brian, what are you now? 74 or 75?
You're on
You're going to
mute.
be 75.
75.
Wow. Yanalta,
Young boy.
you look good for 75, Brian. All right. So we'll have a wonderful day, everybody. Rest of the
Bye-bye.
day.
Shabbat Shalom.
And
Yeah.
Shavua
Shalom.
Tov.
Shabbat
please-
Tov.
Please pray
Vayetze.
for a safe journey for me and to come there
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
and to
Yes,
come
yes.
back safely.
Yes,
Merry
Yeah.
no
Christmas,
problem.
Peggy.
Safe
Pardon?
trip.
Thank
Safe
you.
trip.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
it. I'm not going to the palm trees, but I'm getting away for a bit.
Okay.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.